Did you know it's entirely possible to spend your whole life breathing, and yet never truly live? I know that might sound absurd. Maybe even offensive. But think with me, how many people do you know who are simply existing? They wake up, go to work, pay bills, complain, go to sleep, and repeat. They are surviving. But living? Truly living? That's a whole different story. Now let me share a secret that completely transformed my life. You don't change your life by trying to change your life. You change your life by changing your habits. Because that's what's behind everything you're experiencing right now. And yes, you can absolutely do this. And I'm going to show you how. Have you ever stopped to think why your life seems to go in circles? Why, no matter how much you try or strive, things always seem to end up back where they started. Maybe you've even said to yourself, this time will be different. And for a little while, it does seem that way. But soon everything collapses, and you find yourself falling back into the same old pattern. That doesn't happen by accident. And it definitely doesn't happen because you're weak or incapable. The truth is much deeper, and far more freeing. There is an invisible system operating in your life at this very moment. It governs how you think, how you feel, how you react, what you decide, and even how much you earn each month, let's say about 400,000 Sri Lankan rupees. And that system is called a paradigm. I'm not talking about something mystical or spiritual. I'm talking about science. Paradigms are deeply rooted mental habits that live in your subconscious. They are so automatic that you don't even realize they are there. And the most unsettling part, they were planted in you, not by your own choice, but by the environment you grew up in, by the people you interacted with, and by the experiences you absorbed when you didn't even have a formed sense of awareness. Have you ever wondered why so many people resemble their parents, not just physically, but emotionally, financially, even in their relational mistakes? It's because family paradigms are inherited. The way your parents handled money, self-worth, dreams, and failures, all of it became a mental programming that now runs in you, without your conscious awareness. And that's exactly why you might have read all the books, taken all the courses, watched every video, and still, deep down, you're getting the same results. Because your old paradigm is still operating in the background, like a software that hasn't been updated. Now tell me, how many times have you felt the urge to change your life? To quit the job that drains you? To start your own business, move to another city, make a bold decision? But something inside you, like an invisible force, pulled you back. That's called your paradigm in action. It doesn't want you to change, because your subconscious isn't seeking success, it's seeking familiarity. And familiar is what you've lived through, even if it hurts you, even if it keeps you stuck. Your body, your emotions, your mind, they've all been conditioned to repeat what they know, because the unknown, to your paradigm, is perceived as a threat. Let me tell you something I've never forgotten. Back when I started studying this topic, I came across a quote by Dr. J.B. Rhine from Duke University. It said, "The mind is the greatest power in all of creation." When I read that, it was like a massive explosion happened inside me. I was already tired of just surviving. I worked cleaning offices and owed more than I earned. I was good at working hard, but I was always broke. Then I had a revelation: I didn't need to work harder, I needed to change what was programmed inside me. And when I understood that results don't come from physical effort, but from thoughts rooted in the subconscious, everything started to shift. And that change didn't begin with grand gestures. It began with one simple question I asked myself every single day: is what I'm doing right now aligned with my new paradigm, or my old one? It was like I was training my brain to identify patterns and reprogram my responses. It wasn't magical, it was gradual. And that's where true transformation happens. Not from the outside in. From the inside out. Let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever felt like you're sabotaging yourself? Have you noticed that when things start to go right, some part of you manages to mess it up? Have you tried to save money, but every time you start, something happens and the money disappears? If you would like me to continue the rest of the translation, just let me know, I'll proceed from here without summarizing. Have you ever started taking care of your health, only to find yourself just a few weeks later, eating compulsively like you used to. That's not bad luck. That's your paradigm making sure you stay within the known territory. And there's more, even when you think you're making conscious choices, you're still acting under the influence of the paradigm. Why? Because it shapes even the thoughts you believe are your own. It's like being locked inside a mental prison, and the cruel part is, the bars are invisible. You can't see them, but they are there. And the only way out is to reprogram yourself. And here's the most important point of all, you can change this. But not with willpower alone. Willpower is limited. You change paradigms through repetition and conscious reprogramming. It's like brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. At first, it feels awkward, uncomfortable, even silly. But with time, it becomes automatic. This applies to any new habit, whether it's managing your finances or building self-confidence. It doesn't matter whether you're 50 or 20. The brain is plastic. It changes. And the mind changes the body. When the mind and body change together, your whole reality transforms. But there is a price. The price is the initial discomfort. It's the unease of thinking differently from your family, acting differently from your friends, dreaming bigger than what's deemed acceptable. That's scary, I know. But hear me clearly, if you keep the same habits, you'll keep the same life. And you deserve more than that. You deserve to truly live. Because mere survival is not your destiny. It's only your current programming. You're not trapped. You're conditioned. And everything that is conditioned can be reconditioned. Everything learned can be unlearned and replaced. Your current paradigm may be holding you back, but the next one can set you free. And that next paradigm is the one you must consciously choose to build, day after day. Because when you do that, when you begin to live under a new system of beliefs and habits, you'll realize that the life you always wanted was never impossible. It was simply on the other side of your programming. And the best part is, you can start right now. How many times have you felt excited about a new idea, felt that rush of, this is it, and then, just days later, everything fizzled out? The motivation vanished, fear crept in, excuses took over, and suddenly you were right back where you started. This happens all the time, and it's not due to a lack of willpower. It's your paradigm trying to keep you exactly where you are. Fear doesn't only arise in the face of real danger. It shows up whenever you try to leave the familiar. Even when change is positive, your internal system sees it as a threat, because it was programmed for stability, not growth. I lived it myself. When I considered walking away from everything to start my own business, my mind screamed that I was insane. Fear told me I'd fail, that I'd be humiliated, that I'd lose everything. And I nearly let that fear decide my fate. But in that moment, I heard another voice, the voice of my vision. And it guided me. Even trembling, I took the first step. And that's how it always is. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of it. A report from the Harvard Business Review shows that around 80% of people abandon personal projects within less than a month. Not because they lack ability, but because they don't know how to handle the discomfort that comes with change. So they go back to the familiar, even if that means staying stuck. But their is a way to turn this around. Every time fear shows up, ask yourself, is it based on facts, or on stories you were told? Then start doing one small thing each day that challenges your old pattern. It might be a, no, you've never had the courage to say. Or an action you've always put off. Because it's those small wins that rebuild your identity. I saw this happen with a woman who attended one of my events. She had been stuck in a soul-crushing job for over 20 years. She began with a single habit, repeating a daily affirmation for 3 weeks. In the end, she handed in her resignation, started her own business, and doubled her income, which is approximately £3,000 a month in the UK. This isn't magic. This is paradigm shift. And you can do it too. You just need to stop listening to the voice of fear, and start listening to the voice of your future. You don't have to change everything at once. The transformation begins with a single habit. Just one. A simple behavior, repeated with intention, can open doors you currently believe are locked. Most people find themselves stuck because they try to fix every area of their life all at once, and as a result, they go nowhere. But when you choose just one area to focus on and remain committed to it, you trigger a chain reaction that reprograms your subconscious mind and begins to transform your outcomes. That's exactly what happened to Oprah Winfrey. Despite everything she went through in her childhood, poverty, abuse, rejection, she developed a simple daily habit, practicing gratitude. Every day, she would write down 5 things she was thankful for. That shifted her vibration. And her vibration changed her reality. Gratitude, repeated with emotion and consistency, raised her frequency and brought her into alignment with the right opportunities, ideas, and people. It wasn't luck. It was vibrational consistency. The habit shaped her identity. And her identity shaped her destiny. The opposite is true as well. Mike Tyson, even with his brilliance in the ring, allowed destructive habits to take over his life. Lack of emotional control, impulsiveness, addiction, and the result was ruin. Not because he lacked talent, but because he held onto the same limiting paradigms. And that story repeats itself in many who achieve something but don't have the internal structure to sustain it. Perhaps you've felt this yourself. You rise a step, begin to thrive, and suddenly something drags you back down. Suddenly, everything falls apart. It's not coincidence. It's your old self trying to survive. And you must choose to repeat the cycle or to hold on to a new habit that supports your new reality. So start with just one thing. Wake up earlier. Write down your goals. Meditate. Speak an affirmation. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's aligned with the person you want to become. Practice it for 21 days. Whether it's raining or sunny, whether it makes sense or not, just do it. Because that new habit will teach your brain, your body, and your energetic field that you are ready for something greater. And the universe responds when you vibrate with clarity, with intention, and with consistency. That's the secret few follow. But it's the one that changes everything. Everything in the universe vibrates. Everything. This isn't philosophy, it's physics. Nothing is truly still, not even what appears solid. Your body, your mind, your thoughts, all are in constant vibrational motion. And that's why changing your habits changes your life, because habits alter the frequency at which you vibrate. And the frequency you vibrate at determines what you attract. That's the foundation of the law of attraction, and beyond that, it's the foundation of consciously creating your reality. You've probably heard phrases like, thoughts become things, but few truly understand what it means. Thinking alone isn't enough. A thought only has real power when it is charged with emotion and repeated. And what are habits, if not emotional thoughts repeated through action? That's why changing a habit is not merely a behavioral shift. It's an energetic shift, your vibrational signature. And that signature sends signals to the universe saying, this is who I am. This is what I'm ready to receive. Now here's the trap most people fall into. They want to change their results without changing their vibration. They want to attract abundance but live in worry, anxiety, and debt. They want to find great love but feel lonely, insecure, and needy. They want success but maintain habits of procrastination, doubt, and self-sabotage. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while turning the dial to the wrong frequency. You can want whatever you like, but if you're not vibrating in harmony with it, you won't experience it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to pretend you're fine when you're not. That doesn't work. The universe responds to your real vibration, not to your performance. So the path is not to mask how you feel, but to consciously raise your frequency, and that is done through new, consistent habits that align you with the person you want to be. I've seen this happen thousands of times. People who were at rock bottom emotionally and financially started with small changes, one thought replaced, one behavior adjusted, one daily decision made differently. And over time, those vibrational shifts began to yield new results. Clients started showing up, relationships began to flourish, doors began to open. Because when you change your frequency, you stop forcing and start attracting. And this is backed by science. Neuroscience has already proven that the brain changes through repetition and focus. It's what we call neuroplasticity. Every time you think and act in a new way, you're literally rebuilding the neural circuits in your brain. The more you reinforce this new path, the more it becomes automatic, in other words, a new habit. And that habit alters your body's chemistry, your emotional state, and, as a result, your vibrational frequency. I remember a period in my life when, even after I had already earned around £26,000, I entered a phase of emotional scarcity. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and for some reason, my energy plummeted. Along with it, my results began to decline as well. That was when I realized I had let go of the most powerful habits I used to practice: daily visualization, affirmations, and consistent study. I had relaxed my grip on what used to keep me vibrating at a high frequency. And what happened next? I started attracting circumstances that mirrored exactly this new vibrational state: delays, cancellations, and opportunities slipping through my fingers. It was a wake-up call. I immediately returned to the habits that had once sustained me. And just like dominoes falling into place, everything began to realign. Your vibration is like an energetic password. If you want to unlock new doors, you need to change that password. And that password is your habits. That's why I place so much emphasis on this. You don't need to change the world around you. You need to change what you're radiating into it. And you do that by transforming your mental, emotional, and behavioral patterns. So, pause now and ask yourself, what frequency am I currently vibrating on? What thoughts and emotions are dominating my days? Are they bringing me closer to the life I want, or keeping me trapped in what I already know? That question is more valuable than any technique. Because with the answer, you can choose a new path. And if you feel lost, not knowing where to begin, let me tell you this: start small. Choose one habit that lifts your vibration every day. It could be listening to a song that inspires you. It could be saying something positive to yourself in the mirror. It could be offering deep gratitude for something you already have. The important thing isn't the size of the habit, but the consistency with which you practice it and the emotional state you access while doing it. Because that is what shifts your vibration. And when your vibration shifts, your life follows. You weren't born to merely survive. You're here to co-create. And to co-create, you need to be on the right frequency. Not by chance, but by choice. And that choice starts with your habits. Because everything you want is already vibrating somewhere. The real question is, are you vibrating with it? I spent many years trying to understand why some people, even without formal education, build wealth, live freely, and with enthusiasm, while others, despite having multiple degrees, remain stuck in frustration, debt, fear, and fatigue. The answer I found wasn't in the opportunities, or luck, or talent. It was in the inner image each person carried of themselves. A self-image shaped by past experiences, family influences, the opinions of others, and, above all, silent habits repeated daily like invisible scripts. The truth is, I was once a victim of that myself. I had the desire to grow, to succeed, to do something meaningful with my life. But deep down, there was a voice telling me I wasn't enough. That it was meant for others, not for me. And I didn't even realize that this thought was a reflection of what was stored in my subconscious. I kept repeating patterns. Patterns of lack. Of self-limitation. Of survival. And no matter how much I studied, how much I read, nothing changed, because what needed to be transformed wasn't on the surface. It was in the roots. It was in the image I held of myself. And it was only when I began to change that image that life began to respond. Because the outer reality always reflects the inner reality. Always. It doesn't matter what you say you want. What matters is what you truly believe you deserve. And that belief isn't found in occasional thoughts. It's in the habits you repeat every single day. Habits of thought. Habits of behavior. Habits of emotion. They are the faithful mirror of your self-image. A few years ago, I met a young woman at an event in Atlanta. She was working in a modest office, earning about £1,800 a month, but her energy was incredible. She told me she had listened to one of my audio recordings about self-image, and from that moment on, she began to see herself differently. Every morning, she would wake up, look at herself in the mirror, and say, "I am a successful woman. I am abundant. I am confident." At first, she felt silly saying it. The words felt empty, meaningless. But she kept going. And not just with words, she began dressing as though she were already the woman she aspired to be. She walked with confidence, spoke with authority, and studied with discipline. Within a few months, she was promoted. Approximately 1 year later, she launched her own consultancy business. And today, she lives a life entirely different from the one she lived before. Why? Because she changed the image she held of herself. And everything else realigned itself with that new identity. You might be thinking, but isn't that pretending to be someone I'm not yet? No. It's a conscious decision to choose who you want to become, and to train your body and mind to operate at that frequency. Remember what I said about vibration? You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And you are the image you carry of yourself. Change that image, and you change the signals you emit to the universe. And the signals you emit determine what you receive. Now think with me, how many times have you sabotaged yourself because, deep down, you didn't see yourself as someone worthy of success? How many times have you turned down opportunities, delayed decisions, or hidden behind humility, when in truth, it was fear disguised as caution? This happens to many people. And if you're honest with yourself, it may have happened to you too. Because it's hard to go beyond the limits you believe define your capabilities. But that limit is an illusion. It doesn't exist in the world, it lives within you. And that is why changing your habits is so powerful. Because when you change what you consistently do, you begin to send new signals to your subconscious. Signals that say, "I'm different now. I act differently. I deserve more." And your brain, receiving those signals repeatedly, begins to rewire itself. The old neural connections weaken. The new ones grow stronger. And suddenly, what once felt impossible begins to feel natural. Because your self-image has been updated. This is the foundation of every lasting transformation. So, my invitation to you is simple: stop merely wishing for a new life. Start building, within yourself, the image of the person who lives that life. Sustain that image through daily, consistent habits aligned with who you want to become. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Consistency overcomes resistance. You were programmed to survive. But you can choose to reprogram yourself to live. To live with purpose. With abundance. With truth. And it all begins with how you see yourself. Because in the end, the world doesn't treat you as you are. It treats you as you believe you are. Change that belief, and the world will change with it. What truly transforms your life isn't the big decisions made in a single day, but the small habits you choose to repeat every day. That is the most important point in everything we've discussed so far. When you change your habits, your vibration changes. And when your vibration changes, your reality begins to rearrange itself to match the new version of you. It's not magic. It's law. It's science. It's spirituality in motion. And that's where your power lies. If this message resonated with you, the next video showing on your screen is your next step. It's the next rung on your ladder of growth, a vital piece in becoming 1% better than you are today, and that 1%, day by day, changes everything. Thank you deeply for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Let's keep walking this journey together.